What's up, guys? Today I just wanted to give you my impressions on Rage 2, newest entry into the open world first person shooter with light RPG elements genre, currently dominated by Far Cry. This one's made by id Software, who made Doom 2016, and published by Bethesda. So let's see how it does, shall we? I picked this game up out of a red box. I had it for 3 days. I played a pretty fair deal of it, so I haven't played enough to warrant a full review. But I definitely have played enough to understand the systems and give just kind of my, first impressions of it. To get it out of the way, the on-foot first-person shooter combat is fucking fantastic. It is truly beautiful. If the whole game was just this section of it, just running and gunning, then this would be an easy, automatic buy Game of the Year contender. Fortunately, it's got some other stuff wrong with it that I'll talk about in a bit, but man, this shooting is satisfying. If you've played Doom from 2016, you kind of know what to expect. Punchy guns, fast fluid combat and movement, aggressive enemies, but it just kind of cranks it all up a little bit. Like, there's so many more colors, and you got all these abilities. You got a little bit more weapons in your arsenal to dispatch foes with gory, eviscerating blasts, and it's just sublime to play. I really don't know any other way to say it. Even the first pistol that you get is punchy, and with the right headshot, you can pop a dude's head like a melon. And the shotgun, man, the shotgun's like easily in the running for my favorite video game shotgun ever made. A position that was previously been held by the shotgun from BioShock Infinite. This one definitely steps in to dethrone it a bit. So the guns are amazing. They all have a primary fire, which feels punchy and satisfying, and then most of them have a secondary fire as well. Like the shotgun, its primary fire will just shoot shotgun shots. Secondary fire turns it into like a shockwave cannon that doesn't do as much damage, but it sends people flying, which can set up combos or shoot them off ledges or just all this crazy shit. And like the rocket launcher, its primary fire just fires a normal missile, and its secondary fire locks onto a couple targets and then shoots out a barrage of like little swarm missiles, and it's just so satisfying. The explosions are beautiful. The bits and gore popping off everybody and all the shit flying everywhere looks great and didn't cause any real slowdown that I could notice, so it runs pretty well in the heat of the action. You also have a couple abilities. You have a total of 4 like active abilities and a couple passive ones that you pick up as well, and they're equally as satisfying. Like the 2 that I got in my time with it was like a slam attack and a gravity ground pound thing, and both of them just have really nice effects. They are very devastating. They're on quick cooldown, so you're not waiting a couple minutes between using them. You're punching people left and right. It's just amazing. This part, the first person shooter part of this game, would be my current contender for Game of the Year. It's that good. Unfortunately, the game is kind of dragged down a little bit by a couple of its other designs. So the first one, probably the biggest one I have a complaint with, is just the general open worldiness to it, I guess would be the best way to put it. The open world is pretty empty. There's not a lot to do, and there's not a lot of like dynamic events that make the world feel alive. Like you drive by a question mark and it just puts a marker on the map. You don't have to do it right then. You can always come back to it. Like, I think in my entire time playing it, which I'm going to guess is probably about 10 or 15 hours playing it. No, that seems a little high. But anyways, my entire time playing it, I had one guy drive by that could have started a race, and I drove by like 2 traveling merchants. Everything else was a static event that you could track on the map. So exploring the open world is not very satisfying. The cars that you get, I had a fun time driving them, and especially your main one, the Phoenix, is like kitted out with all these weapons. You got machine guns. Avalanche did the car combat part of this, and they made the Mad Max game in 2015. So it's very similar to that, and I loved that game. So the car combat is very, very satisfying. You shoot a bunch of stuff, you got missiles, you can slide around, yada yada yada, but there's almost no instances where engaging in car combat is required. There's a couple of these like convoys scattered around the map like I'm showing you now, but they're few and far between. and they're pretty short, and that's really about the only reason you have to use any kind of loadout. Another problem I have with kind of this game, and I had the same problem with Mad Max, is it has a lot of different kinds of vehicles, but your main car is so cool you have no reason to drive any of them. So you can pick up other cars off the side of the road and drive them back to a base to save them for later, but there's no point in doing that because the car you have has miniguns and homing missiles, and it can boost and slide and tackle and use a thing, and you put yourself at a disadvantage, I think, by using any other car. Another complaint that I have is just that whenever you enter a new area, up in the top of the screen it says, okay, well, you have 3 more supply crates and 1 audio log or whatever to find. And I do not like that in these kind of games. I'm the kind of guy that if I'm at a place, I'm going to go and I'm going to find all the stuff that's there. And some of these things are tucked away and hard to find, and it's just really, really frustrating. There is an upgrade that you can buy from one of the, faction leaders that puts a little, sensor under your mini-map that says if you're close to one of them, but even then, it's still just, a slog to hunt down all these crates. And, of course, it is optional to hunt down all these crates, but they contain valuable resources, which is another small complaint that I have. Everything that you have can be upgraded, pretty much. But there are so many different kinds of, upgrade currencies. It feels like a free-to-play game, almost, with just how many currencies. You have this Feltrite, which you get from killing enemies and you find in most of the supply crates. But then you also have just regular money. And then you also have, nanotrite upgrades and gun upgrades and auto parts and all this shit. To upgrade your health, you need to find 3 different kinds of upgrades, and it's come on, man. I get you want to kind of slow down progression a little bit, but when there's so many different kinds of materials to collect and there's no dead set way to find them, you have a chance of finding one inside an art crate or whatever, then it gets kind of frustrating. But all that stuff isn't game breaking by any means. None of the problems I have with the game totally ruin it. It just unfortunately drags it down from being a top tier first person shooter that I loved and would love to continue playing to something that I'm kind of happy I rented, and I'll be waiting for it to go on sale to go ahead and buy it and play some more. The story is kind of inconsequential, I guess. Your dude puts on a ranger suit, and then everyone's like, okay, you're a ranger now. And then it's your job to go save the world from the authority. And the comical bad guy, and it's just I don't know. That's not really the motivation to play for me. The motivation to play this game for me was to get to the next part where I was fighting people with my guns. Because that feels so good. I cannot emphasize that enough. So, to kind of capstone this whole rambling, I guess, the shooting is fantastic. If you like Doom 2016, you will love this part of the game. It's amazing. The car combat is good, but few and far between. The open world is empty. The the managing your inventory and upgrades and stuff is a hassle and kind of annoying, but not game breaking. So I would say overall, if you have a high tolerance for those kind of open world-ness things that happen, if you played, Far Cry New Dawn and you liked walking around each of those campsites to find all those springs or whatever, then you can overlook all that, and you don't mind a kind of big open world with nothing to really do, then I would say the combat can definitely carry this experience. But for me, I kind of wanted a little more out of it, so I'm going to be holding off on a sale or waiting for a sale on this one. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Sorry, my release schedule has been kind of sporadic here lately. My family's just got back in town and still getting used to a new schedule and all that stuff, but I think I got it all under lock, so it'll be coming out a little bit more consistently here or there. I thank you guys very much for your patience, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.